Good afternoon, and welcome to Rigel Pharmaceuticals' second quarter 2015 earnings conference call. All participants are in a listen-only mode. We will be facilitating a question-and-answer session at the end of today's conference. So at this time, if you wish to ask a question, you can press star followed by the 1 on your touch-tone telephone. I would like to remind you that this call is being recorded for replay purposes on Rigel's website. And now I will turn the call over to our first speaker, Dolly Vance, Rigel's Executive Vice President, Corporate Affairs and General Counsel.
Hello, and welcome to our quarterly earnings conference call. The second quarter 2015 financial press release was issued a short while ago and can be viewed on the news section of our website, www.rigel.com. As a reminder, during today's call, we may make forward-looking statements regarding our financial outlook as well as our regulatory and product development plans. These statements are subject to risks and uncertainties that may cause actual results to differ from those forecasted. A description of these risks can be found in our most recent quarterly Form 10-Q on file with the SEC. Any forward-looking statements are made only as of today's date, and we undertake no obligation to update these forward-looking statements to reflect subsequent events or circumstances. At this time, I would like to turn the call over to our CEO, Raul Rodriguez.
Thank you, Dolly, and thank you everyone for joining us today. In addition to Dolly, Ryan Maynard, our Executive Vice President and CFO, is joining me on this call. We've had a good quarter and have made good progress on our goals. As we discussed in our last call, Rigel is making a transition from an R&D stage company to a commercial stage company. While doing this, we are continuing to advance our R&D pipeline in the immunology and oncology therapeutic areas. Key to this transition is fostamatinib in ITP and new indications. We continue to expect that the readouts from the fostamatinib phase 3 program in ITP will be available in the middle of 2016. We will also have a complete NDA package for fostamatinib and ITP ready to file in the U.S. by the end of 2016. At this time, both of the studies have enrolled more than half of the expected number of patients, and we are continuing to open new clinical centers to ensure that we meet our timelines. In addition, there are teams at Rigel already compiling sections of the NDA application. Once the results of the 2 phase 3 studies are available, the data will be compiled and promptly included in this application. I will now ask Ryan to give you an update on the financial results from this past quarter. I will then return to share some additional information on our business, including one of the new clinical programs we're excited about.
Thank you, Raul, and good afternoon, everyone. For the second quarter of 2015, we reported a net loss of $14.0 million or 16 cents per share compared to a net loss of $25.5 million or 29 cents per share in the second quarter of 2014. Contract revenues from collaborations this quarter were $5.2 million, which was all related to our collaboration with Bristol Myers Squibb. It was comprised of $4.8 million of amortization of the $30 million upfront payment and $350,000 of research reimbursement. We did not record any revenue in the same quarter in 2014. We reported expenses in the second quarter of 2015 of $19.2 million compared to $25.5 million in the same quarter of 2014. This decrease was primarily due to savings in our facilities costs achieved by subleasing a portion of our space and a reduction in fostamatinib development costs. The reduction in fostamatinib development costs was due to certain startup costs we incurred for the phase 3 ITP trials in the second quarter of 2014. As of June 30, 2015, we had cash equivalents, and short-term investments of $143.9 million compared to $143.2 million for December of 2014. We continue to expect to end this year with cash and investments in excess of $100 million, which should be sufficient to take us into the second quarter of 2017. Now I will turn the call back over to Raul.
Thank you for the update, Ryan. During the last call, we introduced a number of possible new indications for fostamatinib. Today, I would like to give you an update on those plans for a few of these. One disease we are pursuing is autoimmune hemolytic anemia. Hemolytic anemia affects an estimated 40,000 adult patients in the U.S. It is a condition that results when the body's own antibodies bind to red blood cells, which subsequently results in their destruction. This is a similar disease process as ITP, but here it is directed at red blood cells rather than platelets. There is a significant need for new therapeutics in this indication since there are no currently approved treatments. Patients are treated with steroids, some with Rituxan, and then unfortunately a splenectomy. This disease is also a good complement to Rigel's ITP program since the same physician audience treats both types of patients. We are currently designing a phase 2 study in hemolytic anemia to start early next year, starting first with a limited number of patients in part 1 to verify a benefit. We will then roll into a more robust phase 2, part 2, that we hope will show a clear benefit in this orphan disease. We will share more of our plans for this clinical program for fostamatinib in future announcements and calls. In addition, we are pursuing several indications for fostamatinib utilizing outside collaborators in major academic centers. We are currently working with various investigators who have acquired or are acquiring grants to conduct patient trials with fostamatinib in Waldenström's, which is a type of lymphoma, as well as graft versus host disease and some ovarian cancers. In addition, Rigel is also exploring the utility of fostamatinib as a treatment for other lymphomas and cancers. In closing, a few comments on our partnership activities. Earlier this year, we entered into a significant collaboration with Bristol Myers Squibb for the research and development of Rigel's TGF-beta receptor inhibitors as potential therapeutics in cancers using an immuno-oncology approach. We are pleased with the pace at which this collaboration has been proceeding. We are also in discussions with potential new partners to move more of Rigel's preclinical assets forward, and we look forward to partnership-related announcements in the near future. And finally, I'd like to welcome Keith Katkin to Rigel's Board of Directors. Keith is the CEO and President of Rigel Pharmaceuticals and brings a tremendous background in commercialization, which will be very helpful to Rigel as we make the transition from an R&D stage company to a commercial stage company. Now let's open up the call for questions.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if you do have a question or comment, you can press the star followed with the 1 key on your touch-tone telephone, and it will place you into a question queue. Again, for instructions for Q&A, you may press the star followed with the 1 key. If your question should be answered and you wish to remove yourself from the queue, you can press the pound key. Please stand by for our first question. Okay, we'll take our first question from Ian Yang from Jefferies. Your line is now open.
Thank you. Raul, if I heard you correctly, did you say that in the ITP trials, more than 50% of the target patients have been enrolled to date?
That's correct, Ian.
Okay. So as of the last update, I think you mentioned that about 60% of the clinical sites were open at the time in the 2 trials. Can you give us an update on that?
Sure. We've added new centers in the trial. We have a bit over 70 centers now open, and we've also added new countries as well since the last call. So we're planning on opening an additional 30 to 40 centers in the next several months. So in total, we'll have over 100 centers open for the trial.
Okay. And then are we still expecting the patient enrollment completion for at least 1 trial by end of this year?
Thereabouts. That's about right, and that means the results by somewhere in the middle of next year.
Okay. And then one quick question on immunotherapy with the Bristol Myers Squibb. Can you give us an update to when the partner will nominate IND candidates and may go into clinic?
I can't really give you specifics on that since it is partnered and is at BMS's discretion when that happens. But I assure you that we will be able to announce that. It will be announced in our filings when that does happen. To date, we've made very good progress in the collaboration. There are teams, sizable teams at BMS and a team here at Rigel working very closely to meet that milestone.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to queue up for a question, it's star followed with the 1 key on your touch-tone telephone. And again, if your question has been answered or you wish to withdraw your question, you can press the pound key. So again, to queue up for questions, it's star followed with the 1 key. To withdraw your question, it's the pound key. I'm showing just one further question in the queue at the moment from Anupam Rama from JP Morgan. Please go ahead.
Hey guys, thanks so much for taking the question. So for ITP, you guys have talked about potentially filing for orphan drug designation. Wondering where you are in that process and if you've talked to regulators about potential orphan drug filing, as well as for the NDA filing expected by year-end 16, if you would expect that to be a rolling filing if you get orphan drug status. Thanks.
Thank you, Anupam. We have filed for orphan indication in the U.S. for fostamatinib. I don't have a good sense on the timing on that application yet, but we have done so. And that obviously will have bearing on how we do the filing towards the end of next year. But we will meet our goal. Right now we're preparing all the sections that we can in advance to meet the goal of filing the NDA by the end of next year in the U.S. So I think we are confident that we will be able to complete the filing by the end of next year.
Great. Thanks so much for taking our question.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I'm showing no further questions in the queue. I'd like to turn the call back to Raul Rodriguez for final remarks. One moment. We actually did have one more question from Ian Yang from Jefferies. Let me open that line now.
Oh, thank you. So the follow-up question on cancer immunotherapy with the Bristol Myers Squibb, I think you guys previously mentioned that potential lead candidate nomination by end of this year. And although you cannot really comment specifically, is that kind of on track based on the progress that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, it's really within, as I said, within BMS's discretion. That is the next milestone. But I think we'll have to wait until we get there in terms of that announcement. And so I hate to preempt their announcement and giving you a specific time frame. But suffice it to say, we're very pleased with the progress that the collaboration is making. And I think both sides are working very hard to meet that next goal. And we're confident that we will meet it in a reasonable time frame. But I can't give you a specific time frame, I'm afraid.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. With that, I'd like to thank you for your interest at Rigel and in your questions. We look forward to keeping you informed on our progress, both in the clinic, on partnerships, and other areas as well. And thank you very much.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this does conclude your conference. You may now disconnect and have a great day.